So today I'm going to go over a simple meal prep that I do quite frequently. Good old sweet potatoes and some organic ground turkey. Okay, keeping this very basic, quick and simple. So we're going to preheat that while we get this going. Wash them off real quick. Let's get all the griminess off. Alright, so what I like to do is I like to cut these in half. Easier to cook, a little quicker, and they're already kind of cut in half for when I'm prepping the meal, getting it ready to go. So you want to make sure you have a good sharp knife, and I tend to cut off the tips just because I don't really like the tips. I leave the skin on, okay, and I get them cut in half just like so. Place them on the cutting board. If you don't have a nice sharp knife, you're going to struggle with cutting these in half. Boom. That one wasn't quite in half. Next step, I take a little coconut oil and I'm going to put it on the bottom of the potato. I'm actually going to do just a little bit. Nothing crazy. Okay. And then I'm going to come back in. Make some holes on top. Usually I might use a fork instead of this knife, but just to save some time. It's just to let the air breathe. Usually you definitely do that in a full potato, but I like to do it with the halves as well. Okay, so that is good to go. I'm gonna wait till that oven preheats, and I'm gonna pop it in there. Okay, next we got the turkey. Alright, so from here, basically what I do is I add all the seasoning. So some pepper, some turmeric, we got some caraway, coriander, and ginger powder. Okay, kind of been on a kick with the coriander recently. Had it in our multi-pack of seasoning, and I really like the flavor, so I like to mix it in there. Same with the caraway, gives it a little extra something different. All this is to taste. Turmeric is a great anti-inflammatory agent. Try to use it in a lot of my cooking. And ginger, I just love ginger. Gotta love the ginger, never too much. A little bit of that. Okay. Take that ring off. And from there, I just go in and mix it all together. Pick it up. Fold it in. Alright, with the turkey, I'm going to take some more coconut oil and just kind of drop that in, let it melt, put it on about medium heat for now. Coconut oil is a little hard to cook with. If it gets too hot, it's going to start burning and steaming pretty quick. So you want to make sure that you keep an eye on it, don't get it too hot. Alright, so again, it melts, becomes a liquid pretty quick. So that's when I get my patty, flatten it out. I want to make sure that it's pretty level. You don't want any area to be too thick, because that's going to obviously take longer to cook. Okay, from there. Okay. so I keep this covered, keeps the moisture in. Try to get one side done, give it one flip, and let the other side cook until it's done. So I believe you want to try to get the turkey to about 165 degrees if you're going to use a cooking thermostat. That way you know that it's well and cooked, and any bacteria that might be in there has been destroyed, and you can eat it without dying. That's what it says on the package. So that okay, looks like the oven is good to go. 425. Slide those in and set a timer for about 40 minutes. I'll check on it after 40. It'll probably be done a little closer to 30 since we cut them in half. But again, I tend to check on it pretty frequently. Alright, so now that this is cooked through, we're going to flip it carefully. Good. You want to prevent it from any splashing. You can see how this side is browned a little bit. It's still nice and soft. Juices are still in there, so keeping it as moist as possible. I'm going to cover it back up and let the other side cook. Alright, so final thing I do, it's about done here. So I open it up and I give it a good cut in half. Okay. And I make sure that it's cooked all the way through. Okay. With the turkey, you don't really want to see any pink. You want it to be one uniform color. This isn't like a steak. You can see the seasoning all in the middle. Okay. And typically I try to get it into fours, 4 meals out of one package. So sometimes I'll give it a good old chop in 4s. Depends on how much protein I'm trying to get out of each meal. Sometimes I'll add if the ounces and protein grams is not enough for that meal. Okay. All right, 9 minutes to go, but I think the sweet potatoes are good to go. I'm gonna get my glove on. Open that up. It's sizzling. Careful when you open it up. That heat's gonna come right out at you. Whew, yeah, these guys are done. You can tell how it's juicing right up through those holes I made. Okay, and I put it through. It goes through nice and soft. You always want to check the thickest ones, because if those are done, the biggest ones are done, you know the little guys are done as well. Okay. Boom. Let them cool off. Alright, so I gave it some time for the sweet potatoes to cool off. The turkey's cooled off. And now we're going to take it over and do the actual prepping. Okay. Boom. Alright, so it's not the fanciest meal, but gets the job done. So if you really want to get specific, I'll use this food scale that I got at CVS. Good cheap purchase. And so I'll reset. Okay. So, so that's only 2.5 ounces of ground turkey. I typically go for about 4 to 6 ounces. So this is more of a nice little snack. So I'll weigh out all the turkey. All right, 2.5. So they're pretty even all the way through, as long as you make sure to zero out the container. This one probably be a little more. Nope, look at that, 2.5. And 2.6, all right. All right, from there, I'm gonna add, you were so in the video. From there, I'm gonna add my sweet potato, okay? So that's 4.4 ounces of sweet potato. Again, I'm not trying to meet any specific macros here. I'm just creating some meals. From there, what I'm going to do is take some broccoli. So I filled this pot with a little bit of water. I'm using a metal strainer and a cover. All right, so I'm going to put the broccoli in here, put the water to boil. It's going to steam up the broccoli. You don't need too much water because then it'll take longer for that water to boil, just enough so that the water doesn't boil out while you're cooking the broccoli. I'm going to add it to these meals. And there's going to be a little greens and veggies involved in this as well, just to balance things out. But overall, I'd probably bring a couple of these with me to work throughout the day, and just kind of snack on them throughout, depending on how much time I have between patients and during my lunch block, obviously. This is a basic meal prep, nothing too complex, nice and easy and simple, kind of set it, forget it type of cooking mentality. Come back, put it together, and you're ready to go.